Sometimes I ask myself, why do I keep working so hard, yet my dreams still feel so far away? Why does every attempt feel like I'm stuck in the same place? But recently, I suddenly realized something. Maybe I'm only one act of persistence away from success. Sounds simple, right? But when I really think about it, the meaning behind that sentence hits me deeply. You're close to success means that success isn't out of reach. It's right there, maybe just one step away, right before you think about giving up. It's not a privilege reserved for a few. It belongs to everyone who puts in the effort. Only one more. That one is so important. Success often comes at the very moment you feel like quitting, and if you choose to keep going just one more time, you might see a completely different world. Persistence isn't just effort. It's a choice, a form of wisdom, a courage to face challenges. It asks me, even when I'm tired, disappointed, or doubting myself, to keep moving forward. Today, I want to share with you why just one more effort could be the key to turning your life around. And I'll also show you how to make that decisive moment of persistence happen in your own life. And if you want to know more, make sure to subscribe to my channel and leave a like. I remember a long time ago, I wanted to give up. Really, at that time, I felt like all my efforts were in vain. Every failure felt like a massive boulder pressing down on me, and in that moment, I even questioned whether I was smart enough, lucky enough, or hardworking enough. But slowly, I realized that success is often much closer than I imagined. Just at the moment you think about giving up, the next step might be a breakthrough. I've always liked reflecting on great people because they showed me the power of persistence. Take Edison, for example. He failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. If it were me, I probably would have given up after the 10th failure, but he didn't. He tried one more time and ultimately lit up the world. J.K. Rowling is the same. After Harry Potter was rejected by multiple publishers, she nearly gave up. And if she had, the world might never have seen that magical universe. That realization hit me deeply. Success is often just one more effort away. Even Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school basketball team, didn't back down. He trained hard every day, and with one more push, he became a basketball legend. These stories taught me a truth. When the road ahead feels difficult and you feel like giving up, success could be right in front of you. I once fell into deep self-doubt, feeling that all my hard work was going nowhere, like I was treading water endlessly, and that sense of despair was overwhelming. Later, I learned that psychology tells us people are most likely to give up when they are closest to success. The closer we get to a goal, the more anxiety, stress, and uncertainty we feel. The urge to quit is actually the brain protecting itself, signaling safety first. But I told myself, success never comes from the comfort zone. It usually appears where you least want to persist, and the stronger the urge to give up, the closer the breakthrough might be. I began to understand that success isn't a sudden miracle. It's the accumulation of every effort. Every study session, every attempt, every bit of effort is laying the groundwork for ultimate success. Sometimes I felt like I had walked a long road, but still saw no results. Yet I told myself that maybe I had already completed 99% of the effort, and that last 1% often lies in the next attempt. I remember one time, after several weeks of working on a skill and seeing no progress, I truly wanted to give up, but I told myself, one more try. Then I adjusted my methods and slowly broke through the bottleneck. And in that moment, I realized just one more effort really can change everything. It's not just about learning. Every part of life works the same way. In entrepreneurship, I faced funding problems, team conflicts, and product failures. During that time, I doubted myself every day and almost gave up. But by pushing one more time, I found new partners and the product finally gained market recognition. In fitness and weight loss, I also had countless moments of wanting to quit. Every time it felt too exhausting or too hard, I told myself, just one more effort. Slowly, I saw changes in my body and the power of self-discipline. So I realized that success isn't unreachable. It's often in the next effort, just one more push away. Whenever I feel lost, I tell myself, one more effort, and you might see a different world. One more try, and you might break through a bottleneck. One more push, and your life trajectory could completely change. This kind of self-talk has gradually taught me to persist at critical moments, rather than give up easily. Sometimes I sit quietly in my room and ask myself, what does it really mean to persist until the end? Why is it that when others talk about perseverance, it sounds so simple, yet when it's my turn to actually do it, it feels so difficult, so exhausting? Over time, I've come to understand that persistence isn't just about working hard or stubbornly forcing yourself to keep going. It's a choice, a courageous choice to face the unknown, to not run away, to not give up, even in the darkest, loneliest, and most confusing moments, and to tell myself I can try one more time. I remember the setbacks I faced at work. Once, in order to complete a project, I stayed up several nights in a row, pouring in more time and effort than anyone else. At one point, I truly wanted to give up. I felt like I had already given everything I could, and the results still might not be good enough. But then I told myself, just hold on a little longer. Even the smallest progress is better than quitting right now. That, to me, is the essence of persistence. It's a choice. The choice not to back down when others do. The choice to keep moving forward in the face of pain and exhaustion. Persistence isn't something you're forced into. It's a conscious decision. Every time you choose to persist, you strengthen yourself. Every time you make that deliberate decision, even the hardest goals begin to move a little closer because of your effort. I used to think persistence meant just pushing through, repeating the same actions over and over again, no matter how many times you failed. Later, I realized that true persistence is also about wisdom. You have to reflect, adjust, and improve while you persist. That's how you actually get closer to success. Like when I was learning a new skill, if I kept using the same method that didn't work, no amount of time would help. Only when I started reflecting, analyzing, and trying new approaches within my persistence did I finally break through. That's when I learned that real persistence isn't blind repetition. It's progress through understanding, analysis, adaptation, and continuous effort. It's both a skill and a form of life wisdom. Every time I choose to keep going, I'm reshaping myself. I found that when I decide to push through difficulty one more time, my inner strength grows. I stop being easily defeated by failure or distracted by short-term setbacks, and I start viewing challenges from a long-term perspective. I remember once, during a creative project, I was stuck in a bottleneck for weeks. Every day felt like running in place, and the frustration nearly made me quit. But then I told myself, just one more try. Maybe the breakthrough is just a second away. I poured my energy back in, adjusted my plan, and miraculously, everything fell into place. The project was completed successfully. In that moment, I realized that persistence doesn't just change outcomes, it changes how I see myself. It taught me that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can handle more pressure than I imagined, and that I can go much further than I believed possible. There's a concept in psychology called microhabits, which means that small, consistent actions accumulate over time to create huge change. I've truly felt that. Every time I choose not to quit, every little bit of persistence strengthens my confidence and willpower. When I was working out, for example, sometimes I could barely stick with it for 5 minutes. But when I kept adding up those small efforts every day, a month later I was amazed to see how much my body had changed. Life is the same way. Often, what we're persisting in isn't the result itself, it's the process. Every act of persistence shapes our habits and our character, giving us the endurance and courage to face bigger challenges in the future. I used to think failure was the end, that every setback was the world telling me, you're not good enough. But through persistence, I learned that failure is just a stepping stone on the path to success. Every failure and every setback teaches me how to move forward more effectively. Persistence has taught me to find value in failure rather than be crushed by it. I began telling myself, one more effort might be the turning point that changes everything. Failure stopped being scary because I knew persistence would eventually bring opportunity. I remember my entrepreneurial journey. There were times when I was nearly crushed by financial stress, team conflicts, and client losses. Everything seemed to fall apart at once, and I almost gave up. But each time, I told myself, just one more try. Even fixing one small problem is better than stopping. Gradually, I saw the power of persistence building up. Small breakthroughs accumulated, and eventually, they led to a real turning point. Life works the same way. Learning, fitness, building habits, relationships. These ordinary things are all tests of our ability to persist. As long as you choose to push through at those crucial moments, you'll see a different version of yourself. Late at night, when everything is quiet, I often tell myself, persistence is my promise to myself. I persist not for others, but so that I won't regret my choices. Just one more try, maybe tomorrow. I'll thank the version of me who didn't give up today. These inner conversations have become my source of strength whenever I'm tired or lost. They remind me that persistence doesn't just change outcomes, it transforms who I am. Sometimes I ask myself, why can others persist at critical moments while I always seem to back down? Why do I want to give up every time I face a real challenge? Over time, I realized that persistence in key moments isn't just about willpower. It requires strategy, method, and a deep understanding of oneself. There was a time when I felt completely lost in life, working hard without direction and feeling like all my efforts were in vain. It wasn't until I stopped and seriously asked myself, what do I really want? What is my goal? That things began to change. Once my goals became clear, persistence became easier, because no matter how tired or frustrated I was, I knew exactly why I was holding on. I started telling myself every day, I'm persisting not for others, but for my own goals. At that point, persistence stopped feeling like a blind burden and became purposeful action. I also learned an important technique, breaking big goals into small ones. I remember the first time I tried to write a long piece of writing. It felt overwhelming, and I nearly gave up. But when I broke it down into sections, paragraphs, even individual ideas I wanted to express, I realized persistence could actually feel manageable. By completing small parts each day and accumulating progress, I eventually finished the entire piece. Life works the same way, whether it's learning a new skill, starting a business, sticking to a workout plan, or improving relationships. Breaking big things into smaller parts makes it easier to persist. Through persistence, I've experienced countless failures. I used to see failure as personal rejection, and every time I failed, I felt crushed. But later, I learned to accept failure as a necessary part of growth. In psychology, this is called a growth mindset. Failure isn't the end, but an opportunity to learn and improve. I began to tell myself failure doesn't mean give up. It just means the method was wrong and needs adjustment. Every adjustment, every new attempt, that's what real persistence is. Persistence isn't about stubbornly holding on. It's about recalibrating after every fall and taking one more step forward. I discovered that persistence largely depends on motivation, both internal and external. Internal motivation comes from your inner desire. Every time I felt like giving up, I reminded myself of why I started, of who I wanted to become, of the version of me I was striving toward. That inner voice is far more powerful than any external pressure. External motivation, on the other hand, comes from the people around you. I began to actively seek out like-minded friends to share my goals and struggles with. Every time I faced difficulties, their encouragement and experiences helped me find my strength again. I gradually realized that persistence isn't always a solo battle. You can lean on your environment and support systems to help you overcome key obstacles. I also learned a simple but effective trick: reward yourself for progress. Whenever I completed a small task, I'd allow myself a short break or do something I enjoyed. Psychologists call this positive reinforcement. Each small reward trains your brain to associate persistence with satisfaction, making it a lasting habit. I often tell myself, keep going, not just for the goal, but to prove that I can do it. That kind of self-encouragement helps me take the next crucial step, even when I'm exhausted. Sometimes persistence doesn't bring immediate results. When I was learning a new skill, I went months without seeing progress. That sense of helplessness almost broke me. But I learned to embrace delayed gratification, to trust that long-term effort eventually pays off. Every act of persistence, regardless of the immediate result, builds the foundation for future success. I kept reminding myself, what I invest now will pay off later. That long-term perspective helped me stay strong when short-term setbacks hit. I also realized that persistence isn't passive. It's about actively creating the right conditions for yourself. Setting clear goals and deadlines forces you to act, step out of your comfort zone, and challenge yourself. By breaking down obstacles and focusing on measurable progress, persistence becomes productive. For example, I once set a rule for myself to write 1,000 words a day, no matter how tired I was. Over time, not only did I finish my work, but my writing skills improved dramatically. Persistence, I learned, is about creating opportunities, not waiting for miracles. Every time I feel tired or lost, I pause and speak to myself, just one more try. Even a tiny bit of progress is better than stopping. Take one more step, your life might change completely. Keep going, not for anyone else, but so you won't regret quitting. This inner dialogue has become my greatest source of strength. Every promise I make to myself feels like a reminder. You are capable, you are worthy of persistence, and your dreams deserve one more effort. Sometimes I sit by the window, staring into the night, asking myself, what's the point of holding on? Why do I keep facing challenges, difficulties, and setbacks over and over again? Slowly, I've come to realize that the true value of persistence isn't just about achieving a goal. It's about how you grow, change, and even rebuild yourself along the way. I used to think persistence was simply a means to an end, that all the effort only mattered if I reached the goal. But after going through long stretches of perseverance, I discovered that persistence itself was quietly transforming me. Every time I pushed through exhaustion, every time I decided to try again after failing, I became tougher, more confident, and more resilient than I was yesterday. Persistence helped me surpass the version of myself who used to give up easily, who lacked confidence and endurance. I even started to see that sometimes success isn't just about the result, it's about the person you become through the process of persisting. I must admit, the most dangerous part of pursuing success isn't failure. It's the psychological crisis that comes right before success. When I was building my business, I went through every kind of setback imaginable: funding shortages, team conflicts, client losses. But ironically, when things finally started to stabilize, I felt more fear than ever. I was scared that if I tried again, I might fail once more. Scared that if I kept pushing, my effort might still go unrewarded. Scared that after coming this far, I might lose everything. This is what psychologists call the pre-success threshold. The closer you get to your goal, the stronger your anxiety and uncertainty become. I realized that this is the critical point where persistence truly determines whether you'll succeed or not. Whenever fear crept in, I would tell myself, fear is normal. It means you're getting close to a breakthrough. Failure isn't what you should fear. What's truly scary is losing the courage to try again. Just persist one more time. You might see a completely different view. That inner dialogue became my lifeline in tough moments, reminding me that fear and uncertainty are signals, not the end. As long as I take the next step and keep going, success might be right around the corner. Over time, I've come to understand that the long-term value of persistence isn't just reaching a goal, it's about fundamentally changing who you are. Long-term persistence makes you more resilient, disciplined, and patient. You stop being easily defeated by setbacks and start learning how to find solutions in difficult situations. Every attempt, every failure, every adjustment adds up, paving the way for your next breakthrough. With every act of persistence, you discover that you're stronger than you thought, and your confidence grows with it. Your persistence doesn't just change you, it inspires those around you, showing them the power of effort and consistency. I realize that this long-term value is far more important than any short-term achievement. It turns you into a more complete, mature, and powerful person on the journey to success. Through this process, I've learned a few psychological strategies that help me persist during crucial moments. Accept uncertainty. Life never guarantees results, and accepting the truth prevents fear from taking over. Focus on the process. Direct your attention to small daily efforts instead of distant outcomes. Practice self-talk. Remind yourself, keep going, not for others, but so you won't regret it later. Reconnect with you to later, reconnect with you later. Reconnect with you or reconnect with you with this control bay. Progress is still the distances. Reconnect with you with this as outcomes as still for visual this. What it uses, uses, practice your start. Reignite your drive and stay flexible. Persistence doesn't mean stubbornness. It means adjusting your approach without abandoning your goal. I found that these mental habits make it much easier to push forward when exhaustion and fear threaten to stop me. I'll never forget one experience. I was working on an important project, pulling consecutive late nights until I was completely drained. Just as I was about to finish, my computer crashed and I nearly lost all my data. For a moment, I wanted to scream and give up, but instead I took a deep breath and told myself, try one more time. Fix it. Don't stop now. I spent hours recovering the files, rebuilding the work, and finally completed the project. Not only did it receive high praise from the client, but it also lifted my entire team's morale. That moment taught me something real. At critical points, persistence doesn't just lead to achievement, it leads to growth, confidence, and inner strength. Life works the same way, whether it's studying, exercising, building a business, or improving yourself. Every moment you choose to persist is an act of discovering your own potential. I often think that when I look back on everything I've been through, I finally understand persistence didn't just change my results, it profoundly changed me. Every time I chose to keep going despite exhaustion and disappointment, every time I decided to try again in the face of failure, I was silently telling myself, I am capable, I am worthy, I can rise above. There were countless moments in life when I doubted myself, when I truly believed I couldn't reach my goals. But when I look back at all those moments of persistence, I realize I'm far stronger and more resilient than I ever imagined. Each act of perseverance was a challenge to myself, and every single time, I made it through. I've come to see that the power of persistence isn't just about achieving goals, it's about rediscovering who you are. I became more confident, no longer quick to question my abilities. I became tougher, no longer easily defeated by failure. I became calmer, able to find solutions even under pressure. This growth in self-awareness is more valuable than any single success. I used to think failure was a blow, a harsh reminder that I wasn't good enough. But persistence taught me a different way of thinking. Failure isn't the end, it's a form of accumulation. Every attempt adds to your experience, every setback becomes a catalyst for growth. Every decision to keep going is a reaffirmation of your own potential. I stopped fearing failure and started appreciating the lessons behind it. In fact, I realized that failure and persistence together are what paved the road to success. I've had many moments when I was just about to succeed, and just as many moments when I almost gave up. Each time I told myself, just one more try. This might be the breakthrough. And time after time, it proved true. Success often lies just beyond that final effort. When a project was nearing completion, one extra push often solved the last problem. When learning a new skill, one more round of practice often broke the plateau. When working out or building a habit, one more day of persistence often revealed the results of long-term effort. I've come to understand that what people call the final step before success isn't luck. It's the inevitable result of persistence. You're only one act of persistence away from success. That's not an exaggeration. It's the truth of life. Every quiet night, I remind myself, persistence is a promise to my future self. Try one more time, not for anyone else, but so I won't regret it. Even the smallest step forward is better than standing still. This kind of self-talk helps me find strength whenever I want to give up. It reminds me that persistence is not just an action, it's a belief, a commitment, an investment in the future. I imagine the future version of myself, grateful for the me who refused to quit today. No matter the outcome, I can face myself without regret, because I didn't give up. I've realized that persistence not only changes what happens on the outside, it transforms who I am inside. I've learned patience, no longer craving instant success. I've learned discipline, no longer distracted by short-term temptations. I've learned courage, no longer afraid of challenges. And I've learned gratitude, appreciating the value of every effort I've made. This transformation is deeper than any external achievement because it gives me the strength and confidence to face whatever challenges the future holds. I think that if you're sitting in front of your screen right now, feeling a little tired or lost, please listen to me. You're closer to success than you think. In fact, you are just one act of persistence away. That one act might seem small, an extra hour of effort, one more attempt at practice, one more decision not to give up, but its power is enough to change the course of your life. Looking back on my own journey, I've come to understand a few simple truths. Success is never as far away as it seems. It often hides in that one final step right before you're about to quit. Just take one more step forward, and you might find yourself standing on the shore of your dreams. Persistence shapes character. Every choice to keep going builds resilience, discipline, and courage. You begin to realize that you're stronger, more confident, and more capable than you ever imagined. The key moments of persistence are what truly shape destiny. The closer you get to success, the more fear, pressure, and uncertainty you feel. Whether or not you push through that moment determines whether you'll see a different version of your life. Long-term persistence leads to transformation. It not only helps you reach your goals, but also teaches you patience, courage, and self-control, giving you the strength to face even greater challenges in the future. So when you feel exhausted, confused, or ready to give up, stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and whisper to yourself, just one more try. This could be the moment that changes everything. Dear self, your future self will thank you for not giving up today. No matter the outcome, you will never regret trying because you didn't walk away. Every moment of persistence paves the road toward your dreams, and every ounce of effort builds a stronger, better version of you. Remember this, real success never comes easily. It belongs to those who know how to hold on when it matters most. You are just one act of persistence away from success.